So hello everyone, it's Simon Zutshi here, and I'm really delighted today. We're going to have an interview with Mark Webster, one of our Mastermind graduates who's just had a truly successful time on Mastermind, and I wanted him to share his incredible inspiration results. So I really encourage you to get a pen and paper, take lots of notes. You're going to learn lots, you're going to be inspired. With that, I'd like to hand over to Mark. So hi Mark, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent. Mark, I know you've done pretty well. I'm just going to let you crack on and explain the incredible results you've had.
Okay. My name is Mark Webster. I am a property investor, entrepreneur. I'm a business coach with the Prince's Trust. I studied business at university. I worked in IT sales in the city for about 10 years, which was rewarding but very stressful. And at that point, it was like, I've got to get out and do something different. Where is my passion? And it was property already. I'd already done up a couple of flats of my own. And, you know, it was what I love to be doing. So I approached a couple of small investors, tried to get a job with them. They were like, maybe, maybe not. Did a little bit of investing myself, mainly one beds in Brighton, you know, making about £50 a month. Eventually, I hooked up with a very good friend of mine, old friend from work, and together we actually bought 28 houses in Southeast London over a 2-year period. We bought them, we refurbished them, we remortgaged them, we let and managed them. It was very successful. We then had the financial crisis, and that sort of stopped everything. Since then, I have looked after my portfolio, which was about 6 houses. I've collected a bit of rent to rent along the way. I've managed to grow my profitability, grow my my income, but I hadn't grown my portfolio. What was I going to do next? The thing I love about property is the creative opportunity it gives you for, you know, metamorphic process, and that at the end of that, people are very happy to pay you money to enjoy living, you know, in what will become their home. So I've got to get back to this, I thought. I decided to sell a couple of my houses that were not doing so well. I joined Mastermind. I got ready for remortgaging my other properties, and hey, I could start reinvesting. I was very happy. So what happened on my journey? What was I intending to do? I've called this a holistic approach because really for me, it was about a lifestyle. You know, how could I balance things and grow and be in creative flow and be there for my family? So my mastermind objective was add £100,000 net profit per annum. I wanted to try to achieve initially 30%, but then I came back down to a sort of realistic 20. I wanted to achieve sustainable growth. And to me, that meant reinvesting 100% of my net gains after tax. I also wanted to relocate out of the City of London. I wanted to do a self-build, and I also wanted to be there for my young family. During Mastermind, I came into it with a 2-year-old, and out popped another one. So a young family to be there for. The vehicle I decided was a new limited company. I called it homehouse.co.uk. The intention was to buy new properties, upcycle and remortgage my existing property and relaunch that existing portfolio, try to simplify processes, and eventually get to a point where I outsource those processes so I have more free time. Still got to work on that bit. Location. I spent 6 months, the first 6 months, doing a lot of due diligence, up and down, trawling the internet in the north, northeast, northwest, Liverpool, mainly, the Midlands, Nottingham, Bristol. And I realized that I would need to do about 7 deals to achieve my target. And I realized it was just way too complex. I had a baby about to pop out and a 2-year-old. How am I going to manage this? After 6 months, I had done 0, and I was very stressed out. Thank God for our coaching team, who were very supportive. In the end, I decided, you know what, location, Southeast London, it's home. I have intimate knowledge, and I have a power team in place. Let's make life a bit easier. Okay, lower return on investment, but 30 to 40K net profit per deal, 100 grand, 3 deals. Sounds good. What about the demographics where I live? lots of young people, 20 to 30-year-olds, and in creative industries typically. So what's my strategy? Okay, I'm into design. I love creativity, design-led co-living, and single AST HMOs for sharers. Niche, young professionals in the creative industries, typically creative students from 3 arts universities based close to there. What's our mission? Get creative, provide a real home for people, comfort, connection, and a customer experience, not just a home. How did it go? Okay, after about 6 months, we managed to buy our first property. I've called it E10. It's a 3-bed townhouse in a private gated mews. It's on the edge of the postcode that I know. And because of that, and because of Brexit, it was like the worst moment of Brexit, November. Oh, it's going to be a no deal. Everyone was panicking. The market went down a bit. I managed to get it 30% cheaper than a house I would have bought a mile away. I sourced it for £715,000. That's a lot of money, I know, but in London, that's pretty cheap for this size property. I did a 6-week refurb, which cost about £30,000. Fortunately, the house was in very good condition. The value at the end of that was £800,000. I had it valued by a couple of good agents that I know very well. What did we do? We converted the integrated garage. You can see the blue door there. That is now an ensuite bedroom. We had to get planning permission to do that because there were restrictive covenants on this property. We got around all of it. We got indemnities. We applied for planning. We got the planning permission. So we got around things. We also split the master bedroom, which was at the back of the property, a huge room, into 2 bedrooms. They were both above the minimum single occupancy meter squared. In Southwark, that's 8 square meters. I think nationally it's about 6 and a bit, but in Southwark they're very tight and they say 8, but we managed to do it. We also adapted the circulation in the top floor so that instead of it being a dedicated ensuite for the master, it became a shared bathroom. We did fire, electrical and gas safety upgrades in the house, and we applied for the HMO license. I reskinned the inside so it was really high end. I put in some beautiful natural oak flooring, decorated it really well, furnished it with very nice furnishing. Unfortunately, there's only 2 photos here. You can't see the furnishing, but I put in very, very nice stuff to try to attract a higher end customer, let's call it. We turned this 3-bed into a 6-bedroom, 3-bathroom, single AST HMO. I went into this thinking co-living, rent to multiple people, but in the end, I've stuck with single AST HMO, so a group of sharers, much easier to manage, no bills. I like it. 31K net profit per annum, pretty good. Combined year 1 value added plus the net rent from that year 1, 45% return on investment. That is very good. I did not expect that. And I've just put a note here, and this applies to all our houses. To me, the customer experience is very important. So how do we achieve that? All our houses are owner managed. We provide British Gas home care for central heating system, electrics, plumbing, drains. I have an appliance repair team who are there that day or the next day to fix problems. And we have a cleaner bi-weekly. People love it. Okay, next property, K46. This was my primary residence. As I say, my intention was to relocate during Mastermind because of my young children. We need fresh air, green space, bigger garden, etc. So I remortgaged this property to a buy-to-let. I did an equity release and I managed to get £128,000 out. I had 0 left in this property. And when you see how much it's making at the end, you may think about doing this yourselves. I converted it from a lovely 4-bed family home into another 6-bed HMO. It took 3 weeks and only £20,000 to do that. It's got a large reception room that was split into 2 bedrooms. There was a small bedroom that actually was it was verging on, you cannot use that room. And I did not want to do that. So we thought about rejigging the whole of the top floor. In the end, because of Brexit, there were just not the people to do it. So I spoke to the council, negotiated with them up front and said, look at all the space we provide, look at the facilities. Will you allow this if it's about 10% below? And they said, yes, we will. So we removed a small corner chimney. It was very complicated, cost quite a bit of money, but we created the space that you could have a raised double bed with a workspace underneath. Very cool. People love it. And the room's a bit cheaper. We did the fire safety, gas safety, electrical safety upgrades. We got the HMO license, decorated it again really nicely, protected surfaces. It's got some very nice surfaces, got polished concrete floors, lovely wood floors, things like this. And again, furnished it really nicely. This is a beautiful house. I wish I could show you more images. Again, 6-bed, 2-bath, single AST HMO, £42,000 net profit and 0 money left in. That's a great deal. What's next? Okay, the cottage. So for 3 years leading up to Mastermind, I was searching for a self-build plot. I am a bit of a grand designs fanatic. I love design. Really, I should have been an architect. And I have been trying to find a plot in East Sussex, not far from London, so I can keep managing. In 3 years, I've managed to come up with nothing. There's been lots of near misses, but nothing. Are we going to give up again? No, we can't. Let's do something. Let's just go for it. So we decided to buy a cottage and renovate it. Great. We use this as a base. We continue to search for our self-build. Once we find that, we remortgage and then we let the cottage. Why do we do that and not sell it? Well, we have realized there is a very high demand for short-let property in this area, but there's no supply. Who are the clients? They are people just like us who want to relocate out of London, but they're not sure. Can I live in the country? Am I going to miss London horrendously? Let's just give it a go and see what happens. So they want to rent something. There are people who have been searching for their forever home for a long time. I know people here who have been looking for 8 years and they are still renting because they cannot find what they want. It's much easier to find that property once you are in the area. You can get, you know, a network of people and you find out about things that are coming up before they even get to the market. Also, those people locally who are renovating their houses. So a lot of people move here, they buy a house that's in very poor condition, it's been lived in for 30 years, and then they need to completely gut it and do it up. And suddenly they're living in a building site. We've got to get out. So we know lots of people who are in that situation. They're looking for a sort of 3 to 6 month rental. We have found one example locally, a really nice one. It's a sort of 4-bed, but very compact. It's all inclusive. It's 4.5 grand and it's fully booked. So we sourced this property for 625. We've spent 25 grand on it. It was basically like a shell inside. We've made it a lovely, lovely home. We furnished it basically that will leave and then we'll be on our way. The value is now 695. So we've added value to it and it will make 35,000 net profit and be ready by September. That's like an all-inclusive. We pay everything. You just come in, live in it, but we can make that sort of money. And that's with a limited, I think I put something like, you know, quite a bit of void in there. Future deals, what are we thinking about? Okay, got to do this self-build, be creative, add value, create equity. I really must do that. I have found a plot now. I'm trying to negotiate. It's too much money again, and hopefully we'll get it. There is a couple more coming up, which I'm hoping by September we'll have secured something. I'm also keen to build the rent-to-rent business that I have. When I started Mastermind, I had about a 20K income from rent-to-rent. That is now 50K. And I want to get it up to about 70K. And all of that is coming from word of mouth. People know that I do what I do. They are also leaving London. They want to try and keep their property. And they say, hey, will you look after it? As long as we can upgrade the house and get it into the right shape, yes, I will do that. During Mastermind, I increased from third party, I increased by about 16K initially. It's down to about 11 now. over that 2-year period. What else are we thinking? I have found a very nice cabin. It's on a private estate locally to me. You can't get a mortgage on it. I would have to buy it for cash. It's in that top right corner there. If we can do it, I think it will make £24,000 net, and it would have about 100 grand left in it. We'd basically buy it, completely redo it, and then get a mortgage on it, and we'd have about 100 grand left in. So that'd be a 25% return. I do have it's a loose option on another townhouse, pretty much 2 doors away from the original one that we started with. We did have an offer accepted on that. Coronavirus came along. I actually bailed out on 4 deals because of coronavirus. I kept going for it and then going, oh, the news is just getting worse and worse. Oh, pull out, we can't do it. It's too much risk. You know what? The demand that I have got for my property this year, if I had 10 times, I think I could rent all of it. It's just gone crazy again. So, you know, that fear was just unfounded. In the spring, hopefully we will get it, and that's another 31 grand to add to home house. In the medium to long term, we're in a due diligence process, talking to various people about doing some more exciting things. One is to create a UK retreat with 10 to 12 cabins. The image below is something like that. There's a company called Kaboo, who I'm just discovering. They've got one in Ireland and they've got one in Kent. We're going to go and stay in it in September. It looks just awesome. Look it up, people. Fantastic place. £200 a night for a 2-bed, fully booked. You've got to pay upfront your full deposit, no cancellation policy, etc. It's that popular. In Sri Lanka, I have very good friends. I've spent quite a bit of time in Sri Lanka, and we're talking about creating a retreat there. It would be a limited, investment. It would be for the fun, the creativity of doing that. I have in the past built a property in Brazil, which has been sold now. Again, we're talking with my wife's family, who are Brazilian, about creating a small retreat there. These are sort of longer term things. What are my objectives for the future? Pretty much to be in creative flow. I am a creative person, and that's what I love to do. And property is my medium. Make customers happy. It really works. If you make people happy, they will come. They really will. Build my income, build my wealth. Top tips. And all of this stuff that I say here, I have to remind myself of every single day. Okay? Have a clear goal. A monetary goal is not enough. Earning 100 grand, so what? You get there, well, now I need another 100 grand because I'm not happy. It's like, what are you going to do with that? What is that going to allow you to do or become? That is going to give you the resolve to go and make this thing happen. Technically, I would say, if you don't know what the 5 golden rules are of property, then please read Simon's book. It's fantastic. It's so clear. Follow that. It works. Do your due diligence. Find the right location for you. Match a strategy that works to that location, and then start to build a team of people that you can trust, because doing it on your own is really hard work. Mindset, as everybody says, is 90% of the game, and 10% is the technical stuff. Your attitude, being positive, believing in yourself, believing in your strategy is vital, and then having the courage to actually go for it, and then just take it one step at a time. Fear, as I found out in this process, is a deal killer. 6 months in, I had done nothing, and that was due to fear. Fear that I wouldn't be able to handle managing the projects, fear it was too far to go, that I wouldn't be there for my family, fear. Then I start to panic, more fear. I can't think straight, what am I going to do? I bailed on 4 deals due to coronavirus. They were worth £120,000. And if I'd have gone for all those, they'd all be let now and they would have made lots of money. So I said, listen to your heart, trust in your values. If you don't know what values are, then look them up. It's really important. What is important in life? What is important to you? Trust your intuition. Connect with the things that you love and that you feel passionate about. For me, it's design. And if you build it, they will come. It's that saying. It's famous and it really works. This is a lovely saying that I truly believe and I remind myself of every day. To manifest in a physical world, we must create and maintain positive vibrations so that our thoughts and our feelings support our actions. What is success? What is happiness? They are definitely not a pound sign. They're not a thing. They're not a destination. I think you bring success and happiness to everything you do in the way you think, in the way that you then feel, and then the way you act. So start off by being grateful every day for what you have. Just be grateful for the day that's going to unfold. Believe that every problem really is an opportunity to be creative. And continuously ask yourself, how can I make this thing that I'm doing better? How can we let our tenants know that we really care? That's what we do. I don't think how do we build a successful property business? I asked a really great mentor of mine, and he said, it's very simple. It's one property at a time. Don't get overwhelmed with, I've got to make this big number. One deal at a time, one property at a time. Focus on that. There's no failure. There's just learning opportunities. So take action, adapt and overcome as you go along and learn, and then you'll grow in confidence. This is a journey. It's a continuous learning experience. Remind yourself that of every day and practice. I say to you, enjoy your journey. I thank Simon. I thank Dave Morris, who was my coach, who was fantastic. And I thank you guys for listening. Thank you.
Mark, that's absolutely amazing. So congratulations. And I think you're right. It's sometimes people get obsessed by the money, but actually you need to understand, what do you want to do? What's your reason why? What's your purpose? What are you going to do with that money? It's really important to understand that. But obviously you hit the goal. You exceeded over £100,000 of income. And again, you didn't have to have lots of property. It was just a small number. So I want to dig deep into some of the things you talked about. So thanks so much for sharing. That's some really great advice at the end there for anyone watching this. So a couple of things, and you're really honest. You said, look, first 6 months you were bombing around the country. And I think very often people neglect to look at the area in which they live because they think, oh, it's too expensive here, it won't work here. And yes, property is expensive where you live, but you did your due diligence and found actually the numbers work. There might be bigger numbers, but they work, don't they?
They do work. They worked for me. And, you know, I continuously came back to this point. Even after I bought that first property, I'd have these conversations constantly with Dave Morris. It was like, Dave, you know, it's eating me up that, you know, I've got the knowledge, I've got the experience. I should be making 30% return on investment on, you know, with my knowledge. It's ridiculous that I make 12%. He's like, Mark, you're thinking about it in the wrong way. You know, you could make 30%, but if you spend 6 months doing it and you have to travel up and down, you miss your family, and in the end, what do you get? You make 10 grand a year. Is it worth all that paying for that 30%? Or is it better to take 12% and make 30 and go and get on with your life? And he kept reminding me of that. He also reminded me that, you know, the potential for equity increase where I live, you know, it's still an up and coming area. I know the property market seems to be so overcooked and even more overcooked now. But truly in London, where I live and where I invest, it's still 50–60% cheaper than the most expensive areas. There are still people piling into that area because they can sell their 2-bed flat in southwest London and move to southeast London and buy a house. So there's going to be a flow. There's this ripple effect, and that happens, I think, in all cities. You get that ripple, don't you? It sort of ripples out.
Yeah. So you talked about Dave, who's one of your, who was your mastermind coach and one of our past graduates, and obviously trying to be a coach. What were the benefits for you, Mark? Because, you know, obviously, you know, you've already had a lot of experience in property. Sometimes people with your experience might think, why would I go and pay to be on a mastermind program? And I think coaching is one of the elements of that. But what did you personally get from the coaching?
I honestly think if I hadn't had that coach, I could have come out of this with nothing, because look, I sort of partnered up with my wife now. She's my sounding board. She's very clear thinking. She's a sort of you know, I can faff about a bit and think of all the options. And she's the one who goes, shut up, you know, do that. Of course, she doesn't know how to do it. She doesn't know how to do it. She would never, you know, She's not good at detail, but she can see through all the stuff, the fluff that I'm considering. But even with that, you know, having someone else who's got great experience, you know, ultimately what I would love is to have a creative partner, someone that I can connect up with, who is someone a bit like me, who can just bounce off. I've got this mentor who's not connected with Mastermind, and he has a creative partner, and he said it's just brilliant. They are so brave together. They're like, well, if it goes wrong, at least we'll have each other to commiserate. When you're doing it on your own, it's very difficult to make these big decisions.
Absolutely.
And having Dave there each time to talk it through, he was just so clear thinking, you know, he didn't have the emotion that I had. He could just bring his experience, bring his personal experience, the experience of talking to all these other people he speaks to at this time, and just give very clear guidance, you know, not telling me what to do, just what I should think about, what is the important stuff to make this decision.
And it's so, I say, it's great to have your partner, your wife on board and have a sounding board there, but having someone who's actually very experienced, because everyone's got an opinion about property, right? But someone who's actually been there and done it before, qualified, non-judgmental,
and someone who actually said, you know what, I've got an objective and it's this. I want to get to this. And once I get there, that's enough. And then I want to enjoy my life. And that looks like this. And that really inspired me, because I think in our Western society, we go, I want 100 grand. We get there and we go, oh, I don't feel any different. I feel different for about 5 minutes. Now I need 200. Now I need 500. And we just keep going and we just burn ourselves out. When he had a very good philosophy, which was, what is it you need? How much is enough? And then go and enjoy your life. You're only going to live once, and enjoy it.
That's exactly. For me, I think a lot of people get into they leave the job that was a bit of a hamster wheel, but they get into a property hamster wheel thinking they have to buy more and more, and actually you need to enjoy it. And so, you know, getting to the point where you know what enough is really important. And also I believe that, you know, for most people, it's not property that they're passionate about. Property is the vehicle to allow them the choice and freedom to do what they're passionate about. Does that make sense?
It really makes sense. And for me, I still question, you know, I love property because it does give the opportunity for creativity, and people will pay money for it at the end of that process. But actually the creative element is over quite quickly. Personally, I think I need to go and study, you know, fine art or become a sculptor, where I can just be creative every day, and I don't need to actually make anything from it because I'm making it from the property.
Exactly. The property gives the freedom. And as you quite rightly said, it can also be very lonely on your own as well. And so how did you find, because you got your one-to-one private coach, how did you find having a peer group around you? How was that different from when you were trying to do property beforehand?
I think for me personally, at first it was really good. I really enjoyed that. I really connected with people in the live workshops that we did. Every you know what, hour or two, we swap places, connect with new people, find out what they're doing. So enjoyed that. You know, personally, I'm from Leeds, Yorkshire area originally. I've lived a lot of time in London. It was great to meet up with people again who are there, find out what they're doing, what they're thinking. And just be connected to other like-minded people. You know, a lot of people don't get property. They're like, what do you do? Oh, you're a landlord, you know, and there's a bit of a, you know, no, I'm
stigma sometimes there.
Yes, a stigma. You know, connecting with other people who are creative and want to, you know, do some good in the world, really. That's what I do. I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it to be creative, to do some good, and I get paid at the end of that as part of that process. That's the way I see it.
Now, I have to ask you about this, Mark, because I think I know the answer. I just don't want to make any assumptions. So you talked about you have HMOs, but you rent them out on a single let basis. Now, I do that on my student houses because there are many different types of tenants in HMOs. There's students, there's young professionals, working people, people on benefits, you give to charity, etc. But I like students because often they come as a group together. Because they're friends, often you don't have to pay the bills, which normally you do in an HMO. You don't have to pay council tax if they're a full-time students. So talk to us a little bit about how your philosophy around that and how you're then finding those groups of people.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I started in this game basically students, and one of my heroes from way back was Richard Branson, because his philosophy was give more, for less. Try to create more value, but don't charge a ridiculous amount of money for it.
Yeah.
And so I've always kept my houses in very good condition. I look after them myself because I care about the property and I care about my tenants. And in terms of the students themselves, I've had good experiences with them. We have a direct relationship. I say to them, when you've got a problem, come to me. So my experience is good.
Yeah.
What I've found over the last few years is my area is getting more and more popular with young professionals. So the inquiries I'm getting are probably 50-50 now.
Okay.
Young professional groups who want to live in my area in a shared house still, because they had that experience in university, for example. They're all university educated, professionals in there. Typically, they're 25 to 30. They're a group of friends. They've lived together before. They want to come back together again. They don't want to live in a flat on their own. It's boring. It's expensive. It's much more cost effective. I think it's like you can save 30% of your living costs by living with other people. Our houses are all big. They're, the rooms are good size. They've got good facilities. We always make sure we get a really big living space for them to share, good furnishing, garden in all cases. How do I attract those people? Great photography, good spiel about the house. You can hear in the description the passion I have for my area. I truly believe in it. I'm always telling people about what's opening and what's coming next and connect them up with great things that are happening. And how do I get to market? I use a service called MyLet, which is open to everybody. There's also Open Rent. So you can go and you can advertise your own property. I think I'm paying this year I've paid about £30 per advert. You load it all up, load up your images, load up your floor plans. If you haven't got floor plans, they can create them for you. And then I just manage the whole process. I really enjoy letting my own property. I love meeting new people. I love people to find a new home.
You're making so much money from each one. You don't actually need a lot of those to give you a really good lifestyle. No. Whereas if someone is making a small amount and to get a large income, they have to manage. Look, that's a very different proposition if you're managing lots and lots than if you're just managing a few that sound like they're in great condition. So maintenance will be very low.
It's, they're Victorian houses. So sometimes they're very temperamental because they basically want to fall apart. But look, I've got processes, I've got trusted suppliers. One of the biggest things is managing appliances that break down. I used to have British Gas to do that. They were terrible. They would take 2 weeks to get there, then they take 2 weeks to get the parts, and that's just not a good enough service. So I found a new company. They're there that day, next day. Typically they fix it. If they can't, we just buy a new device that day from Curry's, get it delivered. We do things quickly, and people love us for it. We're on top of everything,
And if you've got people coming as a group, it's a different dynamic from an HMO where people come in and generally they don't know each other at first, and hopefully if you have good communities, co-living, they can get to know us. And I've had some where people are cooking meals together and they're shopping together. It's fantastic, and not on all HMOs, but that can happen. But if they come as a group and they're on one contract, do you tend to find they tend to stay a long time? And what if one of them meets someone wants to buy their own place and they find a friend to replace them? Or what generally happens in your experience?
So in our houses, I normally say this, and I think it's the truth, and this is with a lot of experiences. With the students, I'm trying to capture students who are going into their second year. So they're coming out of halls. This is typically their first property, and they come in as a group. If that group stays friends in this year, they will stay the next year. That they will stay because the house is great. We have a good relationship. I do what I say I'm going to do. There's no need to leave. It's a pain to move. It's expensive, etc. The only time that they do move is if the group completely splits up. They're all going off to do different things. I've had that with doctors before, or the group falls out with each other. Quite typically, you get 3 of them go, we really want to stay, and 3 want to leave. okay, I'll give you a month to find those replacement people. It might even be a bit more, 6 weeks. I'll help you with that process. I'll provide the photos, I'll provide text. I can talk to people for you, but it's your responsibility. And I don't think I've ever had a situation where those people have not found through their social network people to fill those places every time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it works really well. And
Right.
getting your tenants to find more tenants works well. In my student properties, I've often had, when the group does move out, they find the next year's group, often just for a couple of crates of beer, because they know people in the years below them who've
Exactly.
often been
Yes.
to the house for
Yes.
parties and
And
things. And so
and
students
and
know students, right?
yes, and likewise, as soon as I start the process each year, as soon as I get my first new group, I say, hey, we've got all this other stuff. Let your friends know. It's in adjoining roads. You can walk, and it's great to have your friends as neighbors.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll provide beer, wine, you know, to say thank you for anything that leads to a. So I get them involved. And I also test out, you know, I do dummy ads. This year I've done dummy ads to see what the demand would be like for this next townhouse we'll buy.
Yeah.
This time last year, I had a very scary moment. This was going into, having had the property about 6 months. The tenants changed because I brought it in line with the academic year, and I had no inquiries. Coronavirus was upon us, and I was like, oh my God, I've made a horrendous mistake. So I actually managed to capture tenants through advertising all my properties. I'd get inquiries for all my 6 beds, and I'd gradually say, hey, what about this one? What about this one? Take them to see it, and got tenants. This year, although that property is let, I want to test the market again. Am I getting inquiries this year? Put it on the market, tell the tenants, don't worry, it's not for rent. I'm just testing the market. And had tons of inquiries. Record the type of tenants, quite a lot of young professionals, students from one particular university, very keen. Let's definitely buy that house. That's my decision.
Great. And I think it's always good to do your due diligence and test as much as you possibly can without over analyzing, obviously,
Yes.
but, you know, test it. And it's great to see you being able to make it work in an area. And I want to pick up on the case study you gave, which is a great strategy of sometimes where some people, and I think you said where you live, you turned your home into an HMO, and it can work really well in certain areas. And if the values and the rents stack up, and very often people then move out and they go and buy somewhere else, or they might rent some, or even better, find some on a purchase lease option. They've got the right to buy in the future. And we've had a lot of students who've actually moved, property students who've moved out of their own home because they've rented out. They've actually, although they've rented or bought somewhere else, they've had more cash in their pocket because they've been made more from the rental of their own home. Have you had that experience?
Most definitely, yes. Originally my intention was, well, I'll sell that house and then I won't pay increased capital gains when I buy my next house, and I'll just, I'll get rid of it. But it's such a great house. It's the sort of house that it's close to a station. It's like 8 minutes from London Bridge. It's a big house for London. It's got a small garden, but it's a great property. I've got to try and keep this. I can't get rid of it. Okay, remortgage, get the money out of it and let it. 42 grand. I mean, you can't argue with that as a number.
Yeah, and that's after all expenses and you refinance,
all
money left
expenses,
in, infinite return.
everything. That's what it makes.
What would you say to, I mean, obviously, I know you've had some properties that you've released equity from to get you going, and that's how most people start in property. But there are some people who might be watching this who are thinking, yeah, well, I don't have any money, or I've used all my money up. But I guess even if you're in an expensive area, you're getting such a high return on investment. You could, if you can find other people, you could use their money, give them a healthy return, and still make a very good profit yourself, right?
Definitely. This is, for me, this is not something I personally have experience of. I have experience of other things like doing stuff and other people seeing what I'm doing, saying, can you do that for me? And then bringing their money, but they wanted their house. So I would offer them a service where I'd go, okay, I'll help you do that. I'll charge you a fee. I'll find it for you. I'll get it renovated. I'll let it and manage it for you. In terms of me getting money through other people to invest in property. For me, I have not had any experience of that.
But I guess you've been in a lucky position. You haven't had to do that because you've
No.
released equity and you've refinanced your properties. Have you done?
I have, but there was a period for a long time where, you know, I was building up my reserves again, my war chest, but I didn't have enough to invest in my area. And I became very frustrated. And in the end, I thought, you know what, I've got to do more of this. So I actually sold my smallest house. It was only a 4-bed, it had a lot of equity in it. I was like, I'm just going to sell that. Then I sold another one. So I built up quite a good pot. Started talking about remortgaging my other ones. In fact, I wish I had not sold those properties. I wish I just kept them and remortgaged everything. And I think if you can avoid selling stuff, avoid it. It takes a lot of effort to find and buy. It's expensive, it's time consuming, it's frustrating. You know, never sell, really.
I agree. And that's a philosophy I have. I mean, there are a couple of reasons why I would sell, you know, so if the rental demand was affected in the area, or if there was just so much money tied up. But I completely agree. You've got to have a pretty good reason to sell and reuse that capital elsewhere, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, great. One final question for you, Mark. And obviously, again, going back to the fact that, you know, you've had lots of experience here in property. A lot of people might think, well, surely you could have done this on your own. Coming onto Mastermind was an investment in yourself, and not only of money, but also of time. Two-part question. What was it you wanted to achieve on Mastermind? I know you set your goals about you want to get an extra 100K, have the self-build, etc. But what was it you really wanted to achieve? And would you have done that? Would you be where you are right now if you hadn't made that investment in yourself?
Yeah. Honestly, I think, as I said, for quite a long time, I had been trying to do things myself. And my frustration was it wasn't the way it used to be. You know, in the good old days, mortgages were so easy to get a hold of. This is pre-financial crash, so 2007, 8. You could get a self-cert mortgage, a flexible mortgage, where you could just pay the money back, you know, the next day if you wanted to. They had higher fees, but you could do that. So we'd buy the property, we'd renovate it, we'd add a lot of value, remortgage it within 3 months, get almost all the money out, and make about 30% return on investment on a London house. It's like, wow.
And that's why we were able to build such a big portfolio so quickly, right?
Yes, but that ended, and then it was like, well, what do you do now? And it seemed bloody complicated what you had to do now. All this, what do you call it? You know, bridging and you know, the rules had changed. And to be honest, the reason I came on Mastermind was, first of all, what are people doing now? I want to zoom straight into this mastermind group and get knowledge quickly. And I wanted to connect with people who are doing it and making it work, because thinking, oh, this could work, that could work, and trying takes a lot of time. But if you can connect with a group who's doing it, who's got, you know, spot on knowledge from right now, this is what's happening, very valuable. For me, that's why I did it. And then connect with those people and potentially work with them in the future.
Did you find it inspiring? Because obviously we have a range of people like yourself who actually got a lot of experience from the past. And we have people who are completely new to property. And what I hear sometimes from some of the more experienced people is they get inspired and a bit of a kick up the bum by people who are less experienced than them, who often have no money, and they're doing deals. I think, oh my God, I should be doing deals, right? And was that inspiring for you? A kick up the bum you needed?
Without a shadow of a doubt. And I thought a lot through the process about myself, how when I was younger, I was so gung-ho. I was like, I would risk everything, you know, because I had nothing to lose in a way. It was like, oh, I'm just going to go for it and see. As you get older and you start to build some assets and money, you're like, oh, I don't want to lose this. I've had to work very hard and I don't want to lose it. And you become more protective and everything's got to be more perfect. So yes, seeing that stuff is happening, you know, there's no excuse, just get on with it. And that was very inspiring, yes.
And so would you be where you are now if you hadn't made that investment in yourself?
I don't think so, no. I don't think I would. I did it, you know, I did Accelerator, which I thought was fantastic, very inspiring. I think of all of it, that was the part I enjoyed the most. I enjoyed the intensity, being there. We stayed over. It was very exciting. I came out of it feeling like, extremely determined, resolved. I think I might have been, dithering still. I think being around people who are making stuff happen, having Dave there to discuss things. Am I sane? Am I sane thinking this is a good thing to do? You are sane, just having that someone to bounce off.
People find a really good deal and they almost think, oh my God, it can't be this good, it's too good. They talk themselves out of doing good deals.
No, exactly.
You taught you how to find them. You go and find them and think, oh my God, this is almost too good to be true.
Yeah.
Unless you have that someone to sound check, say, yeah, no, actually, this is a good deal, Mark. Go and do it.
Like I said, Simon, this moment when I bought the first property, Brexit was about to happen. It was going to be no deal. It's going to be no deal. This house was a lot of money. It was just like, I've just got to go for it. I've got to have this right attitude, which is that, look, we've been through lots of issues in the past in our country. We've been through wars. Life is going to be good again. Life will go on. Be optimistic and just go for it. If I hadn't have gone for that, as I said, I made 45% return in the first year on a very expensive property.
Yeah.
I've bailed subsequently on another one because of coronavirus. It's like, will there be tenants? Will 6 people want to live together ever again? Of course they will. They will. Yeah.
And in fact, I think certainly what happened in London, that there was actually all around the country, particularly London, there was a concern about people living together, etc. But interestingly, I think we've seen an increasing number of people who were living on their own.
Yes. Realizing
actually that's really not good for their mental and wanting to live with a group of other people for that social interaction.
Exactly. And I've asked a lot of the young professionals, particularly that I'm talking to about the houses, how has your mentality changed? I was very concerned the dynamics of groups would change. And you might get it becoming, oh, we're 3, we're 4, that's as much as we want to go, but it's not truth. And people are saying nothing has changed. As far as they're concerned, the youth, they are just like, let's just get on with life and have fun, work hard, play hard, be with our friends. That's what life's about. That's what I wanted to do when I was that age. And it's not going to go away, is it?
And I think that's a great sentiment to end this on, actually. So, Mark, I want to thank you so much for taking your time to not only share your inspirational results, but also to give me a bit of a deeper dive into some of how you've done. And I hope you're pleased and proud of what you've done. I think you've done incredibly well and a great example to other people in the group, what you can achieve, and also everyone who's watched this as well. So thank you so much, Mark, and keep in touch. And I look forward to hearing about your future success.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
Simon.
I do hope you got massive value from watching this YouTube video. I'd encourage you to click on the link below to come and do the online training with me. And I've got another video lined up for you, which I think is also going to be really useful that you should watch once you've registered for the online training with me. So invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I'll see you very soon.